Yes. Sorry, was the last yes Councillor Tang?
I am a yes too.
Thank you. We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. And that is carried. Protocol items, I don't believe we have any today. So next is selection of items for debates. Please click on the board if you would like to select items for debate. Soon you'll be able to click. The portal is open. Councillor Stevenson.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to select 7-2.
7-2. I have waited. There's no anybody else. I'll take a motion to approve 7.1.
So moved.
Councillor Wrights, thank you for that motion. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
We have all the votes.
Yes.
I think Councillor Principe was voting yes at the time you were saying you have all the votes. We have captured her vote. Good, okay, so we have all the votes. Let's display the vote then. That is carried. All right, request to speak. Are we sure we didn't make a mistake? There's really none today? No request to speak? No?
Sorry, if I can just jump in to provide what we have passed.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
So today, committee has passed the recommendations in the following reports without debate. Item 7.1, use of the city crest, coat of arms.
Thank you. I got ahead of myself. I was too disappointed by the lack of requests to speak that I forgot about that. Thank you. There are no requests to speak. There are no requests for time specific on the agenda. Councillor inquiries. I was not notified of any. So all of those. So we're going to just move on to the first item, which will now be 7.2, Councillors' travel and conference expense limitations.
Administration doesn't have a presentation. This is a motion-driven report, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you. This was selected by Councillor Stevenson. Councillor Stevenson.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming back with these recommendations in such a timely way. Just had a few points of clarification. The first, just in terms of the disclosures, so appreciate the clarity that's provided for what will be included in the common budget disclosures. Just want to clarify as well, that will be broken down. So in addition to the separate categories, that's also broken down by councillor or ward office, I guess?
That was my understanding, but let's just triple check that the wording is clear, because that's the purpose of us doing a quick check-in here. Yeah, so it would be ward or common disclosures will include the categories. I would assume that if we're disclosing it in the common budget, we would attach it to a councillor, because the travel would be previously approved by this committee. So yeah, I would say that we would be transparent with which ward was using the money out of the common budget. That's the whole purpose of doing the disclosures.
Great. So it wouldn't be common travel disclosures, a lump sum for all the hotels would be by
councillor. It's already done that way, so it's just a continuation of the practice.
Perfect. Excellent. And then, I appreciate the wording around, costs expected to be reasonable, prudent, cost-effective, and defensible. I think those are all the right intents of what I was hoping to achieve. I'm just wondering from an implementation perspective. So I think about, our support staff who are probably going to be the ones making these bookings. How do they interpret that language when they are choosing between different hotels?
So the city has a similar policy, which is why we're trying to align those. So if I was in the same situation, I would make sure whoever was booking my accommodation and travel was aware of the city's guidelines. And I would suggest that would be my accountability. to provide that clear direction. One of the challenges, and Victoria can add more color, is we've seen during particularly busy periods, sometimes what's a reasonable hotel, I'm making this up, at $250 1 week, perhaps the first 2 weeks of July in Calgary might not be for the same value of money. So we've left it generic as it is within the administrative's policy, and it's up to each supervisor. But I think Victoria is going to jump in here.
Yeah, I'd just add that that is kind of like some of the guiding principles, and some of the additional clarification that's under those areas, like I'm looking at accommodation based on single occupancy in a standard room, like that would be the first intent. But if there were a scenario where there were no single occupancy rooms available or an exception needed to be made, that would be where, like, oh, we're not able to book this at this time.
Okay.
That's the intent there.
Okay, no, that's really helpful, and it's really helpful to know as well that it parallels policy and language and administration. So there's other precedent or procedures that they can turn to, and I think the single occupancy in a standard room. And I think I was thinking standard that, like, you know, you can book a standard room in the Hotel Mac or a standard room somewhere else, but this is more like a standard room across hotels. Yeah, okay. Wonderful. Well, no further questions. This is really exciting. I appreciate the great work on this, and I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. There's nobody else on the board. Anyone wishing to speak to it? Not seeing anyone wishing to speak. Councillor Stevenson to close.
You know, very briefly, I am usually not one to champion what can often, to be honest, be sort of performative budgetary restrictions. But I do think this is a really critical one. Travel for our work on council is really essential, and it's imperative to bring value to Edmontonians. I think it's also important that we do so, continuing to remind ourselves that we are traveling thanks to Edmontonians, and ensure that we're very prudent with those dollars. I think in the past we haven't had clear guidelines around this, so having this codified and clarified, I think it will be helpful for everyone moving forward. So thank you all.
Thank you. Please vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Jans. We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. That is carried. We're down to motions pending. Councillor Rutherford.
Sorry, and I was frantically trying to pull it up on my email because it's not coming up on eScribe for me right now.
That's okay. We can get them. I can probably also just put the motion on the screen and you can read it from there. I think it's popping up. There you are.
Okay, that I move that Council Services Committee recommend to City Council an exemption to policy C618C, Councillor's budget and expenses be approved to allow for purchase of furniture for Ward Anilnik with funding from the common budget. And I'm going to add to that up to a maximum of 2,500.
Thank you. So that's how you're going to read it in. Perfect.
Yep.
So we'll make sure that's added as part of the initial motion.
Would you like my introduction?
Yeah, I was just waiting for it to pop up and then
Sure.
we'll get that. But go ahead. We know that you're moving it with that, so go ahead and take the 2 minutes to
Yeah,
introduce.
so my office has run into a bit of a technicality with our policy in that the policy that we actually just approved also talks about purchasing office furniture within the year of an election. And that we're not allowed to do that with either ward budget or common budget. And I've had some unexpected changes in my office, and I've added another staff member, so I do not have the office furniture to properly accommodate 3 staff members. And so this would be for a desk and chair and like very basic equipment for one of those said staff members. I also asked I asked our front staff how much the Ward and Elnick office has spent on office furniture to date, and it's from the common budget, and it's $200. So just to give context of, you know, what I've spent thus far, it is definitely being mindful of that, but also wanting to be able to make sure my staff can be comfortable and do their work in ergonomic chairs and desk spaces. That's why the exemption.
Thank you. And again, this is a recommendation from committee to council because we don't have the ability to do that. So I'm just seeing if anyone else is on the board. I don't see anyone. Oh, Councillor Wright. Oh, I was,
Just popped up there.
Councillor Wright, yes.
I guess maybe to admin, if it is like because of ergonomics and proper, like, does that fall under like occupational health and safety to provide that?
So the way the policy is written is that furniture is restricted in an election year. So I don't know the number, but not all offices have stand-up desks. And so we leave it up to the discretion of this committee and council to set the policy.
Okay, but normally would it be covered? Like would the cost to provide an ergonomic desk and chair, that would still come out of the ward budget? Or the common budget?
The common budget, not speaking to medical accommodations, because this wouldn't be the place for that. But generally speaking, furniture is furniture, and the policy is pretty clear, so it's a simple exemption from council.
Okay.
But yeah, any type of ergonomic adjustments or improvements come out of the same budget, and if it's not enough money, we can always look at getting that increased.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else on the board for questions. Anyone wishing to speak to it? Not seeing any. Councillor Rutherford to close.
Yeah, just briefly, I think that I understand why this is in policy. It's a good policy. But that we are checking in on these things and not spending office furniture, you know, that may not be needed by the next set of councillors, but I would appreciate my colleagues' support in allowing my office to function for the remainder of the term. Thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Chance. We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. And that is carried. Any notices of motion or motions without customary notice? Not seeing or hearing any. We are, oh my goodness, adjourned at 1:47. Let's do it.